Born team in this case, they are here, and that was a tough run for them, but they got here proving that they can compete after what was really just a horrible start to the cycle as they got 2-0'd by BMG in the first round. Pretty embarrassing performance, frankly. They made up for it, though, going through the losers bracket. They not only had to defeat Reason Gaming, but they also took out the same BMG team to get to this point and compete against Willowkeeper. So obviously looking forward to a really good best of the three here, and we are already well into the draft. But with that said, once again, going to be joined by Mini Mega here. Mini, we got a good series and a good day ahead of us.
Yeah, man, definitely a good series. And I'd actually like to point out the stat that Quincy's posted. That these teams haven't faced off each other before.
Yeah.
It's always quite interesting to sort of see. Obviously, the same with last series with Tree facing off with Sync. They hadn't faced off before. So it'd be kind of interesting to sort of see where these two teams lie, actually. And so it's definitely going to be a good series. And obviously, we've got the grand finals later on tonight as well. So good day of Hon breaking, to say the least.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, the top three teams at this point here in cycle number 2 remaining. A lot of money on the line. We keep stressing that, pulling that graphic up real quickly. Again, you see right here, obviously, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 have already been placed and eventually paid out, but the top 3 spots here are still competing for a good chunk of the overall $31,000 plus prize pool here for Cycle 2. And, on top of that, there's always a pride, and there's points as well. Early on in the season, maybe not as focusing as much on that, but obviously it adds up, and by the end of the season, we'll be paying really close attention to those points and seeing how teams are shaping up, and eventually that ultimately qualifies you for a chance for the World Finals, of course. So, again, looking forward to see how things finish off here today, starting with the Losers Bracket Finals. But yeah, already plenty to talk about. Definitely, as far as this draft is concerned, as you mentioned, not matching up against each other before. That in itself interesting. But here we are, the initial picks going into the bands. So we got Rhapsody, Gemini, and Bubbles coming out here for Willowkeeper. Magmus, Engineer, and Parasite coming out for Nullstone Gaming. Now, kind of interesting there, you do see Gemini on the side of Willowkeeper. Beaverbanger's been playing that a bit lately. We saw him play it several times yesterday, so almost like a we're going to take that away from you kind of pick, yeah, as well as play it ourselves. I mean, still definitely confident that they can play themselves, sure, I'm sure, but you got to think it's probably also because that they know that they play it. So
it's definitely because of that play. I mean, I was talking to a few of the Zinc members, actually, Kaiser and Slapped, and they were sort of giving me their thoughts on the actual team of Nullstone Gaming, and they said, yeah, they played Gemini so fantastic, so well, and Tree obviously, took a note of that, and instead of banning it, because obviously they've got quite a few bans that they need to make use of, why not just pick it up themselves, and it makes sense here. Also, I mean, with the Bubbles and Flux, actually, this does remind me a lot more, they're sort of closer to home in their draft in that sense, a lot more comfort heroes. They used to pick up Bubbles and Flux all the time. I mean, we haven't seen it too much recently, but it's kind of good to sort of see the old Tree heroes being picked up here again in Game 1.
Yeah, exactly. So, Krake Flux, again, we first started seeing this team in Sanitary as he was building, and it was definitely a unique thing, a lot of fun to see. So obviously, I'm not saying we're going to see that here, but it's going to be interesting to see if it kind of going back to the roots in that sense. But something else worth noting, as we kind of talked about in the interview there, we interviewed both teams, of course, but Nullstone Gaming, they are all tagged up. I mean, it's not Nullstone Gaming tag by any means, but they're all tagged up the same. So I can't say I'm disappointed. It's good to see that. That's kind of a side thing there. But anyways, we got Drunken Master coming out right here for the Hellborn side. You see Nullstone Gaming, as far as their worst hero goes, apparently, is Drunken Master. Granted, it's only 3 games, so happens to be 1 and 2 with it. But still, a very powerful hero. Definitely good potential, so understandable why they're deciding to go here. But Willowkeeper finishing off. I mean, they got the Flux, AoE Synergy. What option are they going to go with here? They still need that secondary support, most likely. Riftwalker?
I mean, Riftwalker's banned, Glacius is banned.
Dang it.
So is Ophelia. I mean, they play a lot of Empath and Luna, but I don't know if we might see something actually a little bit off the wall here, and that's probably why they're wasting so much time on it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously know Tree how they always run some wacky heroes and supports. It's definitely something that they do run a little bit weird in that sense, but we'll have to see here. Going with what they're against, actually. I mean, Master Arms is on the ball, obviously not too bad, but I mean, we're going to see Torture instead. I wondered if we were going to see that. So yeah, Torture's a strong pick though, has a good set stun, has some kind of pushing potential as well, so
yeah,
that should be a fine secondary support.
Yeah, definitely. That's just a solid option here to follow up with the Rhapsody as well. So, again, as we were pointing out yesterday, I mean, Torch and Rhapsody are actually the most played heroes, and as far as heroes being selected, and happen to have both of them over here on Willowkeeper. So, final pick now for The Last of Us. God, I swear to God.
Oh man.
Nullstone Gaming over here. He's speaking of heroes that they're comfortable with. But look at the initial bans, by the way. I didn't even really mention that, but I'm not sure what the very first one was, to be honest. But it's Cthulhu Fought, War Beast, and Swiftblade were the bans right there.
Ophelia as well.
Was it Ophelia? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was Ophelia as well. So, but yeah, taking out War Beast and Willowkeeper. So kind of addressing what you got right there. At least to an extent. But he still gets the Parasite, and he actually messaged me as Revenant going to be coming out over here for Nullstone. But he messaged me about his Parasite play yesterday and was like, you had fun watching me sitting in the Hell Cannon for 10 minutes? And like, yeah, that basically happened. That's the new Parasite for you. But Revenant, this is going to be a short lane Revenant or a Suicide Revenant maybe? Is this going to be a short lane? Or, looks like short lane.
Yeah, short lane. Yeah. I mean, it does work, obviously, that they sort of have somewhat kind of gank potential with the Parasite, even with a bit of Magmus as well. So it's most likely going to be Magmus, Engine in mid, and then obviously Suicide Drunken, short lane Revenant, and then Jungle Revenant, Jungle Parasite in their own jungle, which will most likely be faced off against Rhapsody, Flux middle lane, Torturing Gemini in the bottom lane, and then Suicide Bubbles on Signature, Bubbles on Boxy. I mean, this is the hero I think Boxy was definitely kind of made for, or kind of like he's his sort of hero that he sort of became famous for, really.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunities to make big plays, and this is sort of a good hero for him. And obviously, Krakow on his Flux as well. But we see Tree actually rotating 5 people up here into the enemy jungle right now, most likely to try and block the camps coming out from Parasite. And actually, there might be an engagement. How 5 of Nullstone Gaming are also rotating up here as well, so could be an early engagement.
That they are. They're looking to possibly have some fighting going on. We've been seeing a lot of this lately where the teams find themselves looking at each other, at least, at level 1, but not a whole lot of kills, unfortunately, coming out of, unfortunately, from the spectator point of view. It's always fun to see that action as soon as possible, of course, but understandable. Again, they're going to kind of scout each other out right here, and at this point, you figure nothing's really going to happen unless any cutoffs happen, but obviously not the case. So, Willowkeeper going to overtake the jungle, though. I mean, really no fight put up by Nullstone Game. They're like, you know what, you're here, let's just go ahead and let you have it, feeling that they don't have the level 1 fight, and yeah, they're just really going to scare them all the way off right there.
They have Parasite, so that they're running obviously a jungler, and obviously junglers are very, very weak level 1, so it's just a good play coming out from from Tree to actually do this, because they know obviously that the stronger level 1 team, and they've actually double blocked this top camp up here, and I'm wondering if Parasite is actually going to dodge this whole blocking anyway, and just rotate into the enemy jungle, but expect the dual supports from Fusen and Root of Z to try and box him out as early as possible. So I mean, Parasite won't have an easy time, even though he is going into the enemy jungle.
Yeah. You see Gemini making his way to the bottom lane. Using I think this might be the Rift Gemini or something like that. It's pretty badass skin, if I say so myself. But anyways, going to the bottom lane right here. Going to actually walk right past the Warda site. Obviously not aware that it's there, but Drunken Master has plenty of information that he is nearby. So into the lane we go, and thus the competition for creep farming going to proceed. So you see Parasite making his point. Uh-oh, he's in trouble.
He should be fine, but
okay.
They're going to start boxing him out there.
Yeah, he's going to put in a lot of pressure on him. He takes over the Skeleton King, but that's going to start dropping pretty quickly, I'm sure. And in the end, it's going to be fine, actually, so not the biggest deal in the world. But yeah, the dual support basically collapsing on top of him. So yeah, he really has a tough decision here. I mean, it's like he could go back to his own jungle, but as you pointed out, several of his camps are blocked, including a double block on that camp. I mean, what would you think? I mean, is he better off in the Legion of the Hellborn jungle at this point?
Well, I mean, if he stays in the Legion jungle, he's going to get boxed out completely by the Torturer and Rhapsody. Like, Rhapsody's just not even given any, focus actually on the bottom lane. He's just trying to box out his Parasite. And Parasite could easily buy 2 Rev Wards and try and unblock his camp that way, but at the same time, the Courier's not upgraded, but he's going to make his way back into the enemy jungle, but he needs to really deward this camp as soon as possible. So try and maybe pick up the medium camp here and then start buying some Rev Wards, because he needs his unblocks, obviously. Yeah. He's just not going to have an easy time to farm. I mean, the Courier is actually upgraded now, but he's going to miss it, unfortunately, so he's going to have actually quite a bad time. So already Tree makes quite a... Oh, does he?
It's in a range. Yeah, I don't have my tool, but I'm pretty sure he's going over to kill it. Yeah, okay. It's just barely in a range.
Alright, that's fine then. So at least he's going to have some kind of farm. But yeah, I mean, Tree do make a big point that whenever there is an aggressive jungler and they're running dual supports, they instantly box it out. Because if you let...
Oh my god, top lane! Boxy's going to get the Bloodlust kill! Wow. Beaver Banger goes down. Revenant Yeah, Boxy, as you said, that's just his kind of hero. He loves to play aggressive, and Bubble's very good at that. Level 2 shell serve, level 1's not going to see enough work to get the kill. Revenant not getting the invis just yet. He's only level 2, so it kind of makes sense right there, but still. You know, could have possibly been a different story if at least he was able to have his invis. But good kill. I mean, that's a huge kill. Plus kill to Suicide Bubbles.
Yeah, it's just, and this is what I'm saying, that Boxy, like, he's incredibly skilled in terms of the laning phase as well, and this is what I mean, like, great, insane individual skill, but he can obviously have a tendency to get a little bit over aggressive, but in the end, obviously, it was a good play in the end. But now they're actually ahead in terms of golden XP now, and with Parasite actually already having a bad start, they need to start, you know, kickstarting at least some kind of ganks here from the Parasite, perhaps, to get back into. I mean, obviously they're not too far behind, but they don't want to fall too far behind, seeing as they are going against a Gemini. So if you can get some ganks onto the Parasite, but again, he's missed actually this ward up here on the top lane, so he's only going to be able to work with one hard camp so far. Unless you can see this. Can you see this?
I believe so. Yep. He's doing a pretty good job of actually managing the shadow wards here. That's very efficient use of his rev ward, so well played right there. Bubbles apparently has matched up against Revenant before, as an Ottoman lane matchup is you would expect him. And at the same time, it's matched up once before, and actually Bubbles did come out on top, so Boxy trying to keep that trend going, of course. But yeah, Parasite overall, what you got, managed to do a pretty good job of claiming back the Hellborn jungle. And now 3.5 minutes in, he's going to start progressing his farm. Not the prettiest right now, but the idea that it's going to start picking up and possibly try to set up a kill on this Bubbles if that could work, because, you know, again, especially with the start that Bubbles has now with that Bubbles kill. I mean, you look at creep farm as well. Actually, middle lane action, a little bit of back and forth, but no kills happening. You got Bubbles currently 12-2, Revenant's 9-7, so pretty back and forth. And the Bubbles going back in, though. He wants another kill, but no, he did not Song of the Sea. Figuring it would not be enough right there. It might be just wasn't close enough, but again, they're just really continuing to go back and forth at it against one another.
He's going back, though. He's actually going behind the tower.
No, I've seen if he's running back, yeah. He's not going to find him, though. Unless he dives the tower like, oh my god. Oh, that almost hit. If that hit, that was a kill, but here comes a hasted Parasite out of nowhere. Now he doesn't have a shell surf. This is very likely a dead Bubbles right here. No shell surf. Even if he gets a cooldown, he still needs plenty more mana left. Another leech going to be coming up. That's an easy kill. Yep. For Parasite. So good rune control. That'll get you kills.
Yep. Good rune control. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, Boxy can be over aggressive in that case, and as a result, does die to the Parasite. But it's good rotation, like as you said. Good rune control, and this does actually help Parasite out quite a bit. Obviously, he had quite a bad start because of missing the two hard camps, but this one kill, though, is, you know, obviously he's not farming too well, but at least it's gonna, you know, put him on the fast track to slowly get back into this game now.
Yeah. As far as other creep farm goes, I mean, middle lane, I keep coming back to it every now and then, and for good reason. There has been some decent action. No kills, of course, happening just yet, but as you would expect with a Torture Flux versus a Magnus Engineer, definitely a lot of attempts for possible kills and some good harassment. Flux 23-5, Magnus 16-2, though. You know, obviously the Legion team does have the double range technically to their advantage.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we see that the creep score is just a lot higher here for Tree. Actually, top lane. Yeah,
back to the top lane. Again, he's going to fall. I mean, we talked about that. As soon as Parasite, you know, feels like he gets comfortable in that jungle and going to start possibly putting pressure on Bubbles, and sure enough, it's now back-to-back kills on a Boxy all of a sudden.
And it's actually a simple kill as well. Like, whenever Boxy does use the shell serve, like, that's a free gank there for Parasite, because obviously Bubbles doesn't have any kind of escape mechanism after that.
Yeah.
I mean, he has actually got a ward up here, but still, it just wasn't in time, really, to save him in the end.
It was not. A good movement coming out from Parasite once again. Boxy just a little bit too far up right there. Middle lane, again, a lot of pressure coming out. Flux actually taking the brunt of it, but as Flux usually is in the laning phase especially, manages to be pretty beefy in the end, and no kill happening as a result. So, yeah, Engineer Magnus, I mean, that's a classic combination right there, really. Not surprising to see the higher win percentage on that combo of heroes, especially coming out of that laning phase. So, definitely good potential there for Nullstone Gaming. How's the bottom lane going? The lane we really haven't talked about too much. Gemini's 36-5, Drunken Master 24-2, so not managing too bad. And he's level 6, actually. So back to the top lane. Bubbles again, a lot of pressure coming out. Revenant puts some mortification up, but he could not get another auto attack off. One more auto attack, actually. That could have possibly done it. Oh my god, he still might. Oh, wow.
Yeah, one definitely would have been enough, actually. But Yeah, going back to the middle lane, though, I think the only way they can kill either the Flux or the Torture or the Magnus or Engineer is going to be a rotation, either from one of the supports from bottom lane or the Parasite here for help. And actually, there's a Wild Hunter here on Parasite, so there might be an incoming gank middle lane.
Yeah, he's looking for an opportunity. He's going to go to the Courier right here, I guess. Okay, Ghost Marchers. Actually getting delivered on him. So he's going to be going in with the stealth right here. He was not seen, I'm pretty sure. Torture. No, the stun misses, actually. Oh, that is big. And now Kraken, he's going for a turn. Release comes out. Magnus in a lot of trouble right here. Magnus will end up falling. No, he's going to barely live. The Steam Bath comes out. Will keep him alive. Flux in the meantime, again, beefy, and he's going to be enough to stay alive. Magnus goes back in, actually, and Flux is going to fall, but at what cost here? Rhapsody with the lockdown. Down goes Magnus. So far, 1-for-1 exchange. Is it going to be a 2-for-1? Torture in trouble. Torture will go down. And now Rhapsody needs to be careful as it's a level 7 Parasite all of a sudden and will fall back. So the missed stun, I mean, it did end up costing him his life, but at least they still got the 2 kills.
Yeah, and this just goes back to Magnus being quite a strong laner if they can pull out those long engagements in the middle lane. Obviously, the cooldown's only 11 seconds. That kind of makes the strength of the hero of Magnus, though. Normally, whenever he does it, whenever you obviously go in the middle lane with Magnus, normally the 11-second cooldown is just enough so he can't, put in another Lava Surge. But with that long engagement, they wasn't able enough to get a second Lava Surge and get the kill on Flux. But I mean, good rotation coming out from Rhapsody as well to at least secure the kill on Magnus. But definitely in the end, a worthwhile trade for Null Gaming.
Yeah. Now, I mean, what was such a great start for Bubbles, getting the early bloodlust kill and everything. I mean, Revenant honestly is really starting to box him out now as Revenant is getting these levels. And you can tell, I mean, by the way, no take cover yet on Boxy. Again, he's known as that aggressive player, not going to take cover yet, and I don't think this is unusual for him. Do you think take cover would make sense in this Revenant matchup, or is it just like,
I mean,
really?
it would be actually useful in the Revenant matchup, but seeing as he's going against an aggressive jungle Parasite, I think having at least 1 point in take cover is the way to go, because obviously you can either disjoint the leech or the face hug.
Yeah.
As long as he's quick enough, and obviously Boxy will be quick enough to do that. But in the end, I mean, I think with the build he's gone for, obviously it did allow him to get the first blood on Revenant, but after the first death and definitely after the second death, he does need a point in take cover.
Yeah.
He's probably going to get it at level 8, because the level 4 Shell Step is probably a little bit superior than the level 1 take cover. So we might see it level 8, but I mean, he might die again, obviously, between then and now. So he has to be very, very careful in his positioning. Already died twice, and look at his GPM compared to what it was when he got the first blood. 190 compared to what, nearly 400 GPM. And Beaver Banger's obviously got him back up as well. So it's good game plan from Parasite. And there's going to be another one going top lane as well.
Yeah, you do see it once again coming in with the Wild Hunter. Bubbles has absolutely no clue. Even if he had to take cover, it wouldn't matter right there. He gets gone out, and Boxy again falls. So, as you're putting it, man, I mean, third time, that's a charm. That's a case of, okay, he needs that take cover. He needs to now. I mean, his positioning, it's not like his positioning was bad right there. That was just simply a good game coming out.
Yeah,
from
and this actually goes. And this goes back to actually them not having the sort of place of the suicide ward up top lane. We saw it before, but another one of those would have definitely actually protected him, at least maybe even a rev ward. But in Box having such a bad time now, I don't know if he's even going to come back to the top lane. He might try and gank now. He's level 6, even go maybe to the jungle perhaps. But I mean, the top lane is so dangerous. But it looks like he's going to go to the middle lane. So.
Speaking of the middle lane, there we go. The ultimate discharge coming out from Flux, but the energy field put down, and Flux immediately starts to turn away. He is in trouble, actually. Bubbles coming in right here. Bubbles Kelfoot trying to at least save his team, and if not going to counter kill, not going to happen. And you know what? I don't know what Flux was thinking. I mean, he was by himself. He had illusions there, but there was no real Rhapsody. And I wonder if he either he got confused himself or he thought he had an easy kill on Engineer, but that was honestly weird.
Yeah, I think the communication between Boxy and Cracky was just a little bit off. And most likely Boxy said, oh yeah, I'm going to come gank middle lane, and maybe Cracky thought, oh, he's going to be starting to gank now, but he was nowhere near in time for that. And as a result, as you said, I mean, another kill onto Cracky. He's 0-2 and 1 now. And look at the golden experience there, actually middle lane.
Yeah, they're going to go on to Magnus. Magnus falls right there. Beautiful burst damage and good setup. But now Parasite wants revenge. Revenant joining the party as well. Rhapsody protect him out. Bubble staying alive. Azrace onto that and setting up for turn around kill potential. As Parasite, though, is going into the jungle. Going to take over Catman champion. Going to be fine for now. Will he be fine in the long run, though? Probably not. Yeah, he goes out right there. Chain reactions misses. Doesn't matter, though. Cracky gets credit for the kill on Flux right there. So at least, again, getting something out of that at the very end. But still, a lot of pressure being put on.
Yeah, and look at actually Null going 1,500 gold and 3,000 experience, and they are doing very strong. But at the same time, I think Tree just have a little bit off in terms of their team coordination, like you said, the gank middle lane, and then a few deaths onto boxing, and just like that, they're behind in a couple of minutes from when they were actually leading. So. I mean, there is some plus points. Obviously, Gemini is farming quite well. Hasn't died yet. He's 0-0-1, 350 GPM, and we've seen, obviously, Gemini carry very, very strong into the late game. So maybe, Null going will rotate maybe Parasite and Revenant down here eventually, but they cannot let Baltazar just have a free farm lane here for much longer, because Gemini will definitely outcarry this game if they're not.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the pace right now is in Nullstone's favor, but exactly. You got Gemini at 355 gold per minute. If there's a team right now that should know the scariness level of Gemini, if you let them free farm, it is the Nullstone gaming team, because as we keep going back to, Beaver Binger has plenty of history playing, even yesterday a couple times, helping them defeat BMG, of course. So, amongst other teams. But yeah, here he has the Energizer Steam Boots. Actually, he missed the stun right there. If he actually landed that stun, that could have very likely been a kill on a Drunken Master, but just to the left of him. So Drunken able to avoid that opportunity right there. Overall, Gemini, okay, but in the short lane. Oh, really? So yeah, Gemini definitely has been played as a suicide hero as well. So it's kind of interesting, actually. And that is one percentage actually lesser being in that short lane overall. But anyways, middle lane, 3 heroes here for the time being of Willowkeeper. And not doing a whole lot, though, with it. Although at the same time, Gemini doesn't need support, apparently. He just pushes in that bottom tower by himself. Yes. Nothing is done about it. Flush in the meantime. Pulls in Magnus right there with a discharge. Chain reactions follow. This is staccato stuns. Not enough for the kill, and we caught the stun off at the last second as the shell serve comes in, but the kill field going to be used. Bubbles really wants this kill. Song of the Sea gonna have him come out. He will finally get the kill. And Engineer puts the energy field down just a little bit too late, though. But more supporting cats coming in. Revenant with Defile auto attacks. Mortification put up. So much damage coming out. Chain reaction stalls it for the time being. But down goes Torture. Rhapsody gonna fall as well. And now both Flux and Bubbles need to get the hell on out of there. So what you got does get a double tap out of that. In the end. So yeah, Magnus, even though he died, I mean, again, he survived for long enough to buy time for all that.
Yeah, and just good rotations coming out from obviously the rest of Nullstone Gaming. But I mean, look at Gemini. He's still farming. He took the Tier 1 tower bottom a couple of minutes ago, and now he's 400 GPM. And like you said, I mean, they cannot give Gemini, a lot of this space. I mean, maybe they're just waiting to maybe the portal key on Magnus, but I mean, they really do need to start addressing, because sooner or later it's going to be too late. He's only got 900 or about 1,000 HP at the moment. When he's off strength steam boots, and it shouldn't be too hard. They could probably kill him just with the Revenant and Parasite rotation, but at the moment they're sort of just happy farming. But I mean, that could definitely backfire if they're not careful.
Yeah. So, was that?
Ooh, Codex, yeah. That's what I just saw as well.
That was not your typical Parasite pickup nowadays. Puzzle Box definitely seems to be more of the routine, but what you got, maybe because it's just how good of a start he's had. I mean, feeling comfortable going the Codex. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we don't actually see it a lot more often when we go in the sort of Revenant matchups, because, although the puzzle box on Parasite is very, very strong, I mean, the item is money used for sort of team fighting. I mean, yeah, it can be used for ganking in some respects, but obviously the Codex is probably more superior in terms of the coding sort of lineup, and seeing as they do have the Revenant and sort of the Magnus, actually top lane.
What is going on up here? They're diving the tower. Bubble's going to end up falling right there. Not really diving the tower, I guess. Or they might go for it. No, Torture going to be fine. But yeah, Bubble's getting caught initially. I mean, Parasite and Revenant all of a sudden are level 11.
That's what I mean.
Both themselves.
Yeah. And also, with having the Codex like that, it just increases their ganking potential. And when paired with the Revenant, I mean, the combination is just absurd. So I do like it. However, I would like to see him start building the puzzle box now. I think one level in Codex is enough to increase their ganking potential. But any more points, I think, is a little bit of a waste. Because obviously, they will have to eventually start team fighting, and that's where really the puzzle box is superior.
Yeah. God, 3,000 gold lead, but a 7,000 experience lead right now in favor of Nullstone Gaming. So no doubt they're looking very good outside of Gemini's success. And again, we saw this yesterday against Sync Esports, actually. Baltazar playing the Dr. Pulsar both games against Sync Esports, doing his best, man. He got some really good farm both of those games, but in the end wasn't enough, of course, to do the carry thing for his team. But this game around, Gemini definitely a much different hero than a Dr. Pulsar as far as that carry potential goes and the way he carries. So I mean, the farm definitely pretty threatening here, and I mean, the fact that he has his Firebrand, continuing to farm it that much better. So, sure, looking good for Nullstone Gaming, but they got to keep the pressure up and specifically address this Gemini once again here in the near future. Getting a portal kill Magnus would help with that, and going to try to do some triple stack Ancients. in the meantime. Choosing not to use the Eruption. I thought he might have gone for it right there, but instead Drunken Master comes over to assist. And meanwhile in the middle lane, though, Flux dropping. He's got the Astrolabe, not taking it out, though. Revenant and Parasite again. They're the murderous moppets right here. They're just going around. Level 12, both of them. At this point, I mean, they got a Codex Parasite, Revenant with his burst potential, the Mortification debuff. I mean, you're looking at what is -5 Magic Armor, -4 Magic Armor, but still, that's a lot of assistance, man.
And I think that's both or 2 kills that he wouldn't have gotten if he didn't have the Codex. He is actually deciding to level it up, which, in my opinion, I don't think is the right item choice to go, because I mean he's going to sort of plateau around the 25-30 minutes, and by that time he's going to have maybe a level 4, level 5 Codex, and that's really where he needs the puzzle box. So I do disagree with this choice. Obviously, it is going to increase their ganking potential, and you see, I mean, like he just bursted down the tankiest one on the Tree's team just with a level 1 Codex. So why is there a need to have a level 2? But in the end, he is going to go with maxing, or sort of, most likely maxing out the Codex, but we'll have to see if the item choice is correct or not.
We've talked about this in history. I mean, to be fair, Codex, there is more to just the damage and being amplified as a result. So it is the range, it's the mana cost, it's the cooldown. So there are more benefits, but yeah, damage is a big part of it. It's definitely worth arguing still. With that said, now Gemini in the meantime in the middle lane, gonna collapse onto Magnus right there. Magnus goes down in the background. Bobbles comes in, sucking the sea. Kelphil laid down. Revenant, there is no Parasite nearby. That's because, oh, never mind, he is. He opens. Gemini goes down. Protectability comes out, but with Gemini already dead, might not have mattered. Rhapsody now dropping as Drunken Master jumps in. Bubbles trying to stand his ground with Flux right here. Parasite goes down. The Song of the Sea goes through. The shells up, excuse me, but Bubbles gets caught in the background. He ends up falling, and now Flux trying to run away. Magnus obviously biting back right here, as well as Revenant actually, and now they're going to chase down Flux. Taunt goes up. They're pretty confident that they have this kill, and for good reason. There's a Mortification. The Defile auto attacks coming out from Revenant, and even Drunken Master, as low life he is, he's going to try to maybe get an assist in there. Doesn't get it, but anyways, the kill happens on a Krake. So it did require a couple buybacks, but Nullstone Gaming does come out on top at the end of the fight.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing actually, Tree, although they did lose 3 or 4, I mean, they did obviously force the buyback from Beaver Banger Magnus and obviously kill the Parasite as well. I mean, they are down in terms of 3,000 and sort of 10,000 experience, but I mean, it wasn't that bad of a trade for Tree than first assumed. Obviously, I mean, Gemini did die, which is obviously probably the biggest fault here for Tree, but he's still farming quite well, 420 GPM. And at the same time, if you look at Nullstone Gaming, their sort of biggest threat in terms of the late game is most likely the Drunken Master, and he hasn't had the greatest of farm. Yeah, okay, he's got quite decent in terms of 280, but I mean Gemini with 430 now is looking a lot more scarier. So I mean, although Trees, it's looking bad for them, they're definitely not out of this just yet.
Yeah, Suicide Drunken Master maybe not usually as successful as that short lane Drunken Master counterpart. Oh, look at this 3-man gank coming out. Revenant again being level 13, he has his maxed out ultimate. Yes, that's right, against Revenant. Obviously, it's a 4-8-12 deal. They're going to just steal a couple of jungle stacks right here from the Legion team. They weren't able to find any kills, but again, they put the invis back up and looking for more kills. So this has got to be very frustrating for Willowkeeper to deal with, man. You stress, though, especially against the likes of Revenant, get those aggressive ward-ups to spot them coming in. Middle lane in the meantime, Gemini might be in trouble. He has a Frostburn. He can take quite a bit of damage. Magnus, though, on top of him, scouting him out, but actually he's going to run the correct direction. Man, that's good presence of mind right there, but also just joining up with the team, I guess. And so it kind of just worked out right there.
This is actually really, really good at what Tree are doing, because I think they've been getting ganked off or getting picked off left, right, and centre. But when there is a team, obviously, their team fight is actually quite strong in terms of obviously the Bubbles, the Gemini, and the Flux, as well as obviously the Rhapsody. And with Nullstone Gaming, their sort of strength with the lineup is obviously a lot of gank potential with the Magnus, with the Parasite, with the Revenant. I mean, obviously they do have Engineer Magnus for their team fight, but I think with Tree getting or sort of going as 5, there's no really way they can get picked off. So in that sense, it's quite a good play. Obviously, they did take the Tier 1 tower top as well as defending the Tier 1 bottom. And they're looking at perhaps try and push on for the Tier 2 bottom as well. So we'll have to see if Nullstone Gaming are going to make a rotation. But it looks actually they're going to try and split push here, which is kind of surprising seeing as they are at 10,000 experience up. But this just goes back to obviously their team draft and their team fight not being as strong as maybe Trees.
Yeah. So there goes that middle tower. But in the meantime, at the bottom lane, Flux and Gemini are going to put that pressure on the secondary tower. We'll see what kind of reaction comes down. Now, Revenant invis, but ran right over a Rev Ward right there. It was just placed, so the Legion team very aware that he was nearby. And actually, Revenant turned around, so I almost wonder if he saw him place the Rev Ward and figured he might not be safe there for the time being. So it goes around the long way with the team, and that actually works out for him in the end. You do see Gemini is going to start falling back, realizing the pressure's on. So yeah, no doubt, great movement coming out here from Willowkeeper. for these past 5 minutes or so. They've just been making sure to avoid those ganks, as you put it, knowing that when it comes to team fight and when it comes to sticking together, that's where their strength lies right now. In this game. Now, the items are starting to are continuing even to progress, of course. You got a full Shrunken Head finish on Drunken Master here. In the meantime, you got the Codex, of course, being upgraded still on Parasite. And Hellflower in the works. He might have actually finished it. No, that's just one more Arcana. So it still needs a third one before picking up the Hellflower on Revenant. But still, it is coming along nicely. Of course, he also has a double damage ring bottled up, so we'll see any use to make of that. Magnus with the Portal Key, though. He's farming away at the top lane, looking to get more. What do you make of the Shrunken Head Drunken Master, though? I mean, a good amount of magic damage, a lot of CC here on the Legion side, but that over, say, a Soul's Bulwark makes sense to you?
I love it. I mean, whenever you go against Tree, I mean, Shrunken Head is never a bad item in that sense. So, like, they always run this heavy magical sort of drafts, and Shrunken Head is fine. And also, you don't need the Soul's Bulwark to do the damage, as long as you middle lane.
Yeah, Bubbles, there's the take cover! Take cover's the face hug! Will it be enough return damage? So, Drunken Master trying to get in here. He is able to. He lunges through the trees, gets the kill, and Parasite. So, despite that disjoint, it doesn't work in the end. Double tap for Fuzzy Sloth. Meanwhile, off to the side, Gemini coming in and actually cleaning up. Parasite Engineer dead, and all of a sudden, Drunken Master's left by himself. Drunken Master's going to go down. So a great start for Nullstone. It's not over just yet, though. Magnus Towns in. Gemini is going to fall when it's all said and done. So a 3-for-3 exchange is the end result. What looked like to actually be a great finish for Willowkeeper, with Gemini dying, maybe not so much when it's all said and done. So.
Yeah, that was great. If they didn't get that Gemini, that would have been absolutely disastrous. But, I mean, for Nullstone Gaming here, actually middle lane, it's just Solutions.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. But going back to the Nullstone game, like, their main key here for the next couple of minutes is just try and lock down this Gemini as much as possible. The only threat that Tree actually have at the moment is the Gemini. Like, Flux isn't really doing too much. Bubbles is not a threat. And obviously, the dual supports aren't really a threat at all. And it's the Gemini that's really going to be the sort of the scary threat here in the next couple of 20 to 30 minutes. They really do need to focus their ganks on them. Of course, picking off a support or Bubbles or Flux is good, but they really do need to put the emphasis on trying to pick off the Gemini. So that's why the kill here was actually so big.
Yeah.
In the sense of why they did pick him off. At the same time, I think they should start trying to prioritise farm on the Drunken Master. I mean, you've got Parasite. He's got enough farm in terms of his Codex. Revenant is closing in on his Hellflower, and Magnus has got his Portal Key. He doesn't really need to farm anymore. The two heroes that do need to farm is the Revenant and Drunken Master. Maybe Parasite and Magnus can do the gank, and maybe with Revenant as well. But try and free up the space for Drunken Master, because he's obviously going to be your late game carry going into the late game here, so they do need to free up some space.
Yeah, most certainly, and it really goes back to what you got spilled. And I know I was making the points, again, the more you level up the Codex, it is more than just damage. But honestly, I agree with you, and I think we're kind of seeing that as things are progressing here. He got the kill right away with the level 1 Codex. It was working at that point, but why is it really being the biggest deal continuing to upgrade it, say, over? At this point, he could have had probably a puzzle box now. I mean, he has a level 4 Codex here, so, or even a Portal Key, just something like that to help with initiation, so, well.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying, like, when he got the initial Codex to like around 15 minutes, I said around the 25-minute mark, he would start to plateau at that level 4, level 5 Codex mark. Like, he bursts someone down, but then he doesn't offer anything else, then he just feeds. Like, if he has the level 1 Codex, he can burst someone down and then obviously jump into the puzzle box, not only save himself, but also have even more teamfight presence. So I do disagree with his item choice up here. I mean, it's good in the sense that obviously it can help burst down the higher tier targets, but most of the time he's just bursting down the supports, and the level 5 Codex is just a bit of overkill that he just doesn't even need. So
yeah.
I mean, he has gone with the level 5 Codex, which is fine, but if he is going to make use of it, make sure he gets the level 5 Codex on the Flux, or more preferably on the Gemini, for it to make the best use of it.
So, Jesus. Yeah, again, we've talked about that as well before. I mean, Parasite, it's kind of interesting because you think Parasite jungler, maybe not necessarily scaling that well into later game compared to, say, other junglers like a War Beast or a Tempest even, but when it comes to stats, when it comes to backing that up, I mean, as you see right there, especially against dual support in this case, happens to be 9-1 overall, and just happens to really shine as far as the game's lasting even over the 30-minute mark. Meanwhile, the top lane, though, Revenant, he gets jumped first. There's the counter from Magnus, but now comes Gemini. Revenant dropping fast. He drops fast in the end and goes down. Magnus also dies. Double tap coming out for Balthazar right there. And now more push going to continue most likely from Willowkeeper. So coming out of the pause, they find an immediate gank at the top side. And obviously good execution coming out from our Legion team right there.
Yeah, and this actually goes back to all top lane. Actually, Gemini's split off in his dog form, and Parasite might go for something maybe if he's feeling greedy, but he's just going to back off in the end. But yeah, and this actually goes back to the tier 1 top still not being down. The TP2 rotation cover from tree was perfect, and obviously the gank is even easier with a tier 1 tower top. And this is the problem. When a tier 1 tower in the short lane, obviously for Hellborn is... Oh, sorry, yeah, for Hellborn. No, the long lane sort of tower here for Legion. Whenever that is still alive after the 10-minute mark, it's actually a lot more dangerous than any other tower, because it should be down in the first sort of 10 minutes, because this gives so much map presence here for Tree. You saw the easy gank because they could just TP top, and then they're almost already into the Hellborn sort of side of the map. And I'm kind of surprised this tier 1 tower wasn't killed at the early sort of stages of the game. But I mean, so is the bottom here actually for Hellborn as well. So no, the bottom one here for Hellborn is dead. So. Forget what I just said.
Well, no, I mean, I definitely get your point. I mean, the fact that this tower still remaining, it's actually just ended in our range, too, at 139 life right there. So, yeah, but still being up allows Willowkeeper that opportunity to again, get up there and make some kills happen, as we did see. Obviously is what you're getting at. So 26 minutes into the game, though, very even goal difference right now. Willowkeeper has definitely closed that gap. The experience still a hefty lead here for Null Gaming of about 6,600, but has actually gotten less than it was before, of course. So Willowkeeper definitely looking all of a sudden pretty strong themselves, and again, I say all of a sudden lightly. Obviously, Gemini has been having a great time throughout this game, and we talked about it. Obviously, Nullstone Gaming very aware of the possible situation, but it is definitely developing now. You got the Geometer's Bane. You actually have an Ice Brand here. Well, I guess he did have a Frost Brand, so he split that up, so that makes sense. But we'll see if he turns that into just a straight-up Frost with Skull now next, or instead just goes for something else, maybe like that Behemoth's Heart for the time being. But there goes the top tower kill, so before you know it, the tower goes down with little to no resistance, basically, in the end. But now Gemini's actually going to get some pretty good farm out of this. And he'll gladly accept that. Hellflower, though, just finished on a Revenant, so that's a huge item against the likes of heroes like Gemini, especially now with that Geometer's Bane. We'll see if they can find some good opportunity, extra good opportunity now even, for that. Drunken Master, you stressed how important that was. Actually, middle lane, Parasite is going to get caught out right here. He throws out the Codex on a Torture, hoping at least get a return kill. He knows he's probably dropping. He does drop in the end. Down goes Torture, though. Look at Bubble taking the damage, but they protect the Melody, as well as to take cover, keeping him alive in the meantime. Nice stun from the Twin Fangs of Gemini there, though. And they set up the counter kill on to Revenant. So those dual ganks of Revenant Parasite not working like they were working at the beginning of this game. That's to the credit of Willowkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's great rotation count from Willowkeeper, but I mean, they're ganking it right next to a tier 2 tower. I mean, like, what else do you expect in Tree not to have TPs? Like, that's kind of expecting that, and they should kind of be, even, be better than that and expecting that. And again, though, you saw the level 5 Codex. I mean, yeah, it killed the Torturer, but as a result, they lost their life of it. And trading a level 11 Torturer for a level 15 sort of jungler Parasite is definitely a trade that Tree would like to take. So again, just a couple of questions over what you got to hit on the Parasite here.
Yeah, you see the split up coming out. Goes back to full form. Does Gemini wants to tuck out? Nice deny from Drents right there, playing the engineer. So actually, a little bit of a positive coming out of all that. But look at that item pickup. Was that? Oh, that was actually on Flux. Actually, getting the Frost of Skull. I thought it was on Gemini for a second, but no. Crockett actually finishing his own Frost of Skull here, on top of the Astrolabe Steam Boost, and once again, a big reason why that's really useful is because of his discharge. It actually does apply that effect as well to everyone being the global presence. So, amongst, just in general, and helps, well, make him even that much tankier. So, you're really starting to get some good tank here on this Legion side, specifically with him and Gemini. And for a Hellborn team that's relying a lot on that upfront burst damage, that's going to really hurt something. So, I mean, we talked about Drunken Master and how he needs to continue to progress and get that farm. I mean, he's gotten up there as far as top of the team, but it's not where it needs to be comfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about how Gemini wasn't really addressed here by this heavy ganking squad of Nullstone Gaming, and it's sort of showing now 500 GPM on Gemini. He's only had 2 deaths, and out of the 18 kills that Nullstone Gaming has, they've only killed 2, or sort of twice, on Gemini, arguably the most important hero here, onto Tree. So, again, a few question marks over Nullstone Gaming's sort of heads here, but they're actually rotating into the enemy jungle. They might actually find the Gemini. This is exactly the pickoff they need if they can catch him here.
This is a huge opportunity if they can follow up with this. Drunken Master, he misses! He did not open with the lunge. Well, I mean, TPs are coming in, though. Maybe it's for the better, as that was past the tower. There's a Flux pull him again. The Frost of Skull effect is applied as a result. Bubbles jumps in. He finds Revenant. Red Void, that is not there, so they can't see Revenant currently. They can see Drunken Master, though. He forces to pop his Drunken Head, and it looks like he will get away in the end. The dust finally comes out later, but by then they've already ran away. So Yeah, I mean, you can question why he didn't open up with the lunge, but like I said, I honestly think it probably was for the better that they didn't commit right there, because that could have been a bad turn for them.
It wasn't even that though. He didn't actually need to open up the lunge. He actually ran inside the tower range, and that forced Gemini to just fly backwards with his twin fangs. Yeah, he just ran next to the tier 1 tower, which was a bit questionable again. I mean, I think Gemini was still just farming the medium camp, but then obviously when he rotated and got in vision of the tier 1 tower, Gemini was spooked and got away with his life. So.
Yeah. Well, you see in the middle lane, Gemini just going to continue to pick up more farm. Why not? 500 plus gold per minute mark has now been reached, so obviously at a very scary point, especially at this time. Soul's Bulwark is on Drunken Master to follow up the Shrunken Head, but again, still needs a lot of time before he is going to be any big threat for this Legion team at this time being, but still even below his average for his wins. That goes to show you how Gemini just usually is a dominating force. I mean, by the time that they do possibly win, I wouldn't be surprised if it is up there, though, depending on how some fights turn out. But you got Bubbles. It looks like possibly a Storm Spirit going to be coming out for him with his items that he currently has collected. We'll see what that turns into.
Yeah, it's perfect because, sorry, there's so much burst potential here on Hellborn, and obviously the Gemini and Flux are the two main forces here, and threats, so as long as he can sort of save them as much as possible, it's a perfect item build.
What the Abyssal Skull pick up on Torture, actually? I mean, might as well, figuring that they want one for the team, mitigate some of that physical presence starting to come out from Drunken Master, I guess, and also help out Gemini a little bit. Not too bad, I guess. You like that, though, over, say, something like a tablet? I mean, is that
yeah, I mean,
here?
I think it makes sense, though, because, I mean, like, obviously now it does give the plus 12% base damage as well as the 12% lifesteal as well as the armor as well, so it offers a lot, actually, and obviously he can pick up the tablet later, and there's no big hero he needs to sort of tablet out of. Maybe, like, it's not like they're facing a Kraken or a Pharaoh, so I actually do prefer the item build, and also it allows Gemini not to get it, which, in a sense, gives him another item slot to sort of pick up, like a god tier item, like a Genjura or Wingbow, for example.
Yeah. See top side, look at the mini-map. Willow Keepers making their movement up here, looking to find some action possibly, and feeling pretty comfortable, I'm sure, as far as where they're at, and trying to really turn it on against Nullstone Gaming right here. Gemini just going to freely push in the top lane, no defense being put up whatsoever. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Nullstone tries to ninja in a Kongor right here, but I don't know. There's more to side from Fusin that would spot that information, so yeah, they're not even going to risk going for it. They're just going to give up that secondary tower top, try to counter push a little bit. Magnus at the bottom side, attempting to do so, but he too is actually going to fall back before committing much further. And again, probably for good reason. You already see Flux is here. He's ready to go with that discharge. Doesn't have a portal key, but still going to be able to use the discharge and possibly pick up an initiation. I mean, Magnus just stunned in right there. That could have been a time, but they choose not to waste cooldowns and go for kill attempt right there. And the top side, Magnus actually puts up top, and that'll get Willow Keeper to fall back and continue to farm themselves. So it really just feels like, I mean, right now this is Willow Keeper's control of this game, and Nullstone's going to need some lucky opportunities and somehow to find a couple of these heroes by themselves. But it's with the way Willow Keeper's playing, there's not many of those opportunities they're being given. If any, right now. So it's understandable that they're really starting to struggle now. But, I mean, we keep acting like and saying, and for good reason, that Willow Keeper feels like it's like they're in the better spot right now. But, I mean, the overall stats actually say Nullstone's looking fairly good themselves. And, I mean, Gold's very not a huge gap, honestly. So
yeah, but I mean, XP in this sort of stage of the game is kind of negligible, really. Like, most of the important heroes have got the level 16, except for Magnus, perhaps. So, I mean, yeah, obviously, if XP is important, but compared to gold at this stage of the game, it's not really that important. And also, at the same time, like, obviously, they do have the superior late game. Parasite is definitely starting to fall off now. He's got maxed out his codex, doesn't even have a puzzle box yet. And again, it's just sort of showing that the sort of almost failure of this level 5 codex. Hasn't really done too much, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's just really hasn't really offered too much outside of just a few kills here and there.
Well, you see middle lane, Magnus and Engineer going to attempt to pick up farm where they can for the time being. Again, a Shrunken Head picked up on Magnus now, so that goes back to the idea. I mean, Shrunken Head usually gets any Willow Keeper lineup, is a very, very powerful one, so has that himself. So Gemini at his current form, 5-1, so things are looking pretty good. When he's farming this well, looking this strong. So yeah, things that amongst several things are looking pretty good for Willow Keeper. But I mean, that also goes back to the idea of Parasite, though, with the start that he had, and You know, past the 30-minute mark, as we were stressing, he actually usually has a pretty good high success rate, especially against that dual support. But early on, it was working. Again, though, as the game picked up, and we keep going back to the credit of our Legion team, to Willowkeeper, they are not giving us easy opportunities.
Yeah, just one thing to know though is that I don't know why Nullstone Gaming are sort of sitting back and they're playing quite passive. Like for Tree, that's exactly what they need to do. They've got the late game, they've got the Gemini, make him as big as possible, and then he'll just carry for you. But for Nullstone Gaming, like, first of all, Drunken Master isn't going to be able to out-farm the Gemini, and second of all, he's not going to be really able to out-carry him either. They've got great game potential heroes with the Revenant and the Parasite, and yeah, okay, the last couple of ganks have failed, but that just goes back to obviously the great rotation coming from Tree. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't stop ganking. At least try for them, try to look for them. You know, put some aggressive wards into the enemy jungle, look for the kills. I mean, like, look at Flux here, he's just farming without really any kind of vision. If there's a few wards here, I mean, that could be a free kill yet. I mean, Tree are playing quite well in the sense that they are sticking together, but still, sitting back for Nullstone Gaming isn't going to sort of win them the game, so they do need to be quite proactive in their approach in taking this game number one.
Yeah. Gemini leading the way in the middle lane. Again, he's... Yesterday we saw the double Frostwolf Skull picked up. That was by Beaverbanger playing it for Nullstone Gaming, so I don't know if we're going to see that necessarily, but he does have a Behemoth's Heart in the works here. And, you know, obviously a lot of options open up, especially after that, as far as what he wants to go for. At that point, he could just go for something like a Wing Bow, just that raw damage, or help with a little bit of defensive aspect. But Revenant and Parasite gang combo, 2-1 overall. So they've only played 3 times in total amongst one another. I mean, it seems like it would be a very formidable combination, and understandably so. Magnus actually getting away before that Twin Breath hit. He actually, well, that was close. He stunned in, and he portal-keyed right at the same second the Twin Breath came out. And I think Gemini was just simply going to farm, so that could have been pretty deadly for him. But in the end, he gets away. Not really that big of a deal.
And also, I mean, Revenant is closing in on his Shrunken Head, so maybe that's going to be the item for them to sort of kickstart some kind of action coming here. Because at the moment, I mean, they're almost waiting to lose. I know, obviously, they do have some late game potential, but at the same time, they need to make use of the heroes they have, because otherwise, they might as well almost concede now. They need to make an active approach. Yeah, okay, if they gank and it fails, sorry, at least they've tried, because at the moment, this is just not the sort of strategy they need to sort of take an approach to. Actually, top lane.
Yeah, just the illusions up here. I mean, even the illusions, oh, look at that. They're just so tanky.
So tanky.
Max is like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to kill these illusions. Finally, they just despawn and say, oh, fine. 3,800 life, though, on Gemini right now. Just ridiculous. He's running on the invis. They got the Boundai in the background, kind of giving him an opportunity if he does find anybody. And actually, yep, he might find somebody here. Now, there is a Red Ward that could have possibly spawned. I don't think of that angle, but yeah, it's just so close to very, very possible initiation. Rhapsody runs right into them. She has no clue.
Look at that Codex, though.
Oh, man. Well, there's the level 5 Codex. Yeah, there you go. That's sniping out those supports. I mean, that goes back to, again, Parasite's success against dual supports. Even in the later stage, he still has that option. So as tanky as Flux and Flux and Gemini are, the others aren't that tanky, so.
That's true. I mean, but I would like to see. I know it's only a Rhapsody kill, but I'd like to see Nullstone Gaming just get a bit active, get a bit aggressive. Like, if they wanted to sit back and farm, like, why didn't they pick up like a Dark Lady or like a Mage, or like some kind of hard carry? Because Drunken Master isn't going to really be able to out-carry this Gemini, and at the moment, I think they're maybe just a little bit too scared or a little bit too intimidated by either the tree side themselves, or just because of the last couple of ganks have failed. But just because you failed a couple of times doesn't mean you should just sort of switch strategy.
Yeah. You got bottom lane, Gemini again sending the illusions and gonna just push a little bit with those. I mean, even not only they're tanking as well, but they do some decent damage here. He's got some of the top lane. He's just all over the place, man. Gemini apparently the new Sandwraith here, as he just got all of his illusions all over the place and keeping the distractions up. So it really feels like, again, even though the stats say this game is pretty close and even in favorites for Nullstone Gaming in a couple places, it just feels like this is they're going to be banging their heads against a wall almost. Like they need to just really get something going here shortly, or else this Gemini, I mean, he's gonna he's
already massive.
He's already and at this rate he's gonna get now a big damage on him most likely to assist. And I mean, good luck dealing with him then. So There's no way that they can kill him.
And when Trio are the ones getting aggressive or trying to make some plays like taking this Congo, you know Nullstone Gamer are in a bad position. And I mean, they were in a good position a couple of 5-10 minutes ago, but it just felt they're a little bit lethargic, a little bit sort of just sitting on their laurels or sitting on their advantage, which is not the sort of style of play they need to with the draft they've got. But here comes actually Trio. They're going to try and find a pick off here. All rotating as 5.
Yeah.
Gemini might find a pick.
I got the word aside. He's looking to lead the way. They find Dragon Master. There's the discharge, pulling Dragon Master off the bat. Here he takes some good damage. Going to be fine. Magnus does it in the back. The burst damage comes out. No kills happening for the Legion team or the Hellboy team. As Engineer and Parasite fall in the end. Gemini, as expected, tearing them out. Magnus channels the eruption. It goes off on Flux's leg. Yeah, you ain't going anywhere with that. He just pushes him away. Magnus was way too late with that. He ends up falling when it's all said and done. So they did get Rhapsody, but yeah, you can see right there. It's like, okay, we're not going to win this game.
This happens when you sit back and farm against a Gemini, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, no, not only that, though, but Flux as well, really, was also pretty damn beefy and just strong. Yeah, when you got a hero that has the ability to not only be a massive tank in a sense because of his build, but with the skill set, again, specifically the passive, the more tanky you are, the strength you build up, the harder you're hitting. So that's why Gemini in that later game stage is extra difficult to deal with amongst a lot of hard carries out there. So a perfect example of that right there once again. And Gemini really gaining steam apparently as far as maybe becoming more and more of a carry that teams are going to start paying attention to and bringing back to the scene for good reason. So Willowkeeper, again, that game started like Nullstone Gaming had a lot of control and you almost felt like I was going to snowball and get out of hand, but it didn't.
It's because they sat back, though. I mean, they almost were happy with the advantage, but they didn't want more. They didn't have the passion. They didn't have like, the fire to take more. They maybe were a little bit too scared, a little bit inexperienced, perhaps. But I know this isn't the best of what Nullstone Gaming can sort of perform to. So hopefully we'll see something different in Game 2. But Game 1 was a little bit of a letdown, honestly.
Yeah, coming out from Nullstone Gaming, so I'm sure they know that and going to change